So you're just starting photography, you're photographing people, you must learn how to pose the person in front of you. Now, often it's demonized. Like, we feel like posing is a dirty word where you have to orchestrate, it's mechanical, and there's not much flavor. There's that natural feeling that's just gone away. But we have to know that people will do anything for beauty. Would you agree with that?
I would.
So what we want to do is understand that if your friend, your neighbor, your cousin, you're photographing professionally, eventually you have to understand that if a girl gets her hair and makeup done for an hour, 2 hours, or whatever it may be, then she wants to look amazing. Posing is like photography makeup. We want to flatter the person in front of us, and depending on what we get you to do with your hands, your body, your legs, that is also going to contribute to the body language and have that beautiful understanding and that purposeful posing that tells us who this person is. And it could just be not that profound. It could be, I just want to look cool, I want to look beautiful. But you add purpose to posing, then you can make someone look strong and assertive. You can make someone look soft and sexy and sensual. It depends on what you're going for. So the easiest way to pose someone is simply get them to mirror you. So this is the first day we've met, of course, right? So Sarah doesn't know how I pose people, but what I'm going to say to her, I'll give her a little mini lesson. Just so you know, if I like what you're doing naturally, I won't say a word to you. Why do I say that? Well, let's say, for example, she does something just beautiful and organic and she's in beautiful light. I may have missed that shot and I can't quite recreate it. So she might say to me, what do you want? Where do I look? And all of a sudden we've broken that energy and I've missed that shot. So I establish, if I want something from you, I'll always ask you. Is that cool?
Yes.
Okay, so perfect. So you establish that rapport. Never underestimate the importance of telling people what you're doing and why you're doing it. So we'll talk about full body and head and shoulders and feet and legs and things like that in a moment. But let's now show you the easiest way to pose someone, and that is to get them to mirror you. Let's do that right now. All right. So, you ready?
Ready.
You're looking into a mirror. All right, so now what we've done is we've associated something fun with posing. We don't feel like it's a bad thing. She's giggled about it. Great. So automatically now we can identify that posing is fun and it's also for flattery. But now let's break down the female form and discuss exactly what we do and why we do it and what sets the foundation for 90% of poses full length of a female subject of age, because certainly you won't photograph someone who's, say, 18 or 20 plus in the same way that you'll photograph a 12-year-old. So it has to be age appropriate. So let's say, for example, you have an adult female, 18 plus, and you want to bring out curves and you want to make her look beautiful. So we have to pay attention to the following things. Now let's bring you front and center. And are you cool that if I touch your arms and shoulders and hands? Yeah. Okay, really important that you ask permission. Certainly in this day and age, I mean, we always have to be perfect gentlemen when we photograph, or depending on the gender and all that kind of stuff, but make sure that you ask permission. Normally with arms, shoulders and hands, I don't generally feel I have to ask permission, but I often do. Anything else, you must ask permission. Otherwise, it's a problem. Just be appropriate and build trust, and we can have some fun. Okay, let's get you front and center. Okay, let's get you right there. Okay, so when you photograph a woman front on, and a man for that matter, you are photographing them at their widest. Now, Sarah, you're not wide. You've got a gorgeous figure, but we want to show what is beautiful about a woman. And what is beautiful? Curves. We want to show off those curves. Let's discuss a few important things about the female form and what we need to pay attention to. Now, let's have a look at her shoulders. Now, if you're just flat-footed, right up, put your arms up against your body, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so this is basically showing nothing. The minute we bring the shoulders back, we are going to soften and or eliminate the pinches of skin that hang over her dress. So if she was wearing an off-the-shoulder dress, or even a dress like this, certainly the younger we are, the less problematic that area is, but we eliminate those little pinches of skin. Do you like it when you see pinches of skin?
No.
Hell no, right?
Definitely not.
So we want to do that. So bring the shoulders back. What also happens is the bust look fuller and firmer. So bring the shoulders down again, and now bring the shoulders back. Perfect. Bust looks fuller and firmer. How else do we make the bust look fuller and firmer? Well, let's do this. So if I ask you, Sarah, to just lean forward, we'll just lean forward, right? What happens now is, male or female, our bust, our chest, is basically in line with the arms. We see no curves. Now, if I asked you in a different way, if I said lean forward with your chest, what would that look like? So you see what happens is the shoulders go back, we arch her back, and we lean forward. So if she was doing this on a bit of an angle, so just turn your whole body, that's it, just relax your body, that's it. So just lean forward the normal way. Okay, we don't like that, come back. Now lean forward with your chest. So shoulders back, arch the back, booty out, we've got beautiful shape, perfect. All right, let's turn around. What is another way that we can actually make the bust look fuller and firmer? Well, if I just simply said to you, just breathe in fully. So 1, 2, 3, breathe out. There we go. So 3 ways of making the bust look fuller and firmer. Why is that important? Well, you want to celebrate what's beautiful about a woman, curves. Also, when a woman, or a guy for that matter, brings her arm up against her body, her arms are going to look flat. Now, as gorgeous as a figure you have, that's a problem, right? You hate when your arms look flat.
Right.
You could have an athlete, you can have a CrossFit trainer. If your arms look flat, that's going to be an issue. So you never, pardon my cold hands, you never want this. So you're going to bring the arms off the body. You want to give an excuse to your subject to bring their arms off their body. So turn around this way. What could that excuse be? It could be that you're holding your hands, holding your face, holding your hair, sliding your arm up from your hips. It could be anything. Just give her an excuse to bring her arm off her body. If she's bringing her hands and biceps up into her body, you can crop in closer to get rid of that problem area. I want to say a problem area. It's not a problem, it's that she won't like it. Therefore, we're not going to get a great photograph. That energy will translate into other things that we do as well. Now, let's look at the lower part of your body right now too, okay? So now we're standing flat-footed. But if we simply, and I'll often say this, if I say lazy Susan that way, lazy Susan this way, ever been to one of those restaurants where you have the circular table, the lazy Susan, you turn around and grab a dish? So I'll often tell you lazy Susan this way or this way. It means hold your pose, but then you can turn left and right. Perfect, but with your feet.
Okay.
So if you've got a pose, it'll be lazy Susan this way, but everything stays the same. All right, so you've got a lazy Susan that way. Okay. Now your foot, we're going to point towards the camera. So bring it right out. So follow what I'm doing. Slide the heel back in whilst keeping the toe pointed towards the camera. Bend the knee and then shift your butt away from the cameras there. So what's happening right now is she's putting all her weight on her back leg. She pointed her front toe, bent her knee whilst keeping the toe pointed. This is an important one because if you point the toe towards the camera and slide the heel, your natural inclination would be to turn your leg around. That's going to expose a thicker part of the thigh. You don't have thick thighs, you've got a great figure. But the fact is, this is going to be slimmer than this. Also, often if you're posing according to light, you're going to get nice shadows falling off as well. So make it a discipline. Let's just unravel. Make it a discipline that we point our toe towards the camera, we slide our heel back in, we bend the knee in whilst keeping the toe pointed, and then we shift our weight on the back leg. If you're doing this right, you can easily lift up your leg. If you're not doing it right, it means you're putting the weight on your front leg, which we don't want. Now watch what happens when you shift your butt towards the camera. So now we have more junk in the trunk, so to speak. So if you're photographing a girl with a smaller butt and you wanted a bit more of a curve there, great. The problem is though, you've got a straight monotonous line. So it's up to you on whether you like that. If I photograph, let's say, a boudoir client or swimsuit or anything like that, and again, I wanted a fuller, rounder butt, I might do that, but I will crop just underneath the butt cheeks. If I want to go full length, I will do something like this. So keep that weight on that leg. This ankle, just cross over like this for me. And just go a little bit closer. Perfect. So now we have a narrowing point. So we actually see those beautiful curves. That works really, really well. All right, so unravel again. We've got an understanding of the full body, but really after the eyes, the hands are the most expressive part of the body, so you need to use them. So what do we do with female hands? Well, here's the thing. Usually you don't really want to see this part of the hand or this part of the hand. Why? Because it's basically the wrist at its widest. If we turn around and shoot this side or this side and then bend that particular type of body part, then that's going to actually add a lot of curves because there's nothing more harmonious than repetition in a photograph. So the more curves you see, the more it's amplified. Because you could have this beautiful figure, everything's looking amazing, and then one arm being straight, All the curves will be diminished by the anomaly because your eye will go to the anomaly, the straight arm, rather than all the curves. So you have to be careful of that. So with hands, what I want you to do is put your hands on your biceps and just roll your wrists in. So right in like this. Perfect. This is a really easy way to pose female hands. And then you might say, Jerry, this is just only one way to pose hands. Well, it's actually not. Let me explain. If you do this, if you were to bring your hand on your face, do this for me, and then keep your hand exactly like that, and then put your hand on your face like this. See that? Come down. Let's say you're holding a champagne glass. It's the same thing. So remember, with hands, female hands, just relax, do this, and then all of a sudden we've got it, because this would have nowhere near the elegance than this. Okay, so I don't want to get too advanced for you. The idea is with this course is that we have a foundation of all the things that you need to know to get started and experience success quickly. But this is where you start. Have some fun, just show the thinnest part of the wrist and bend a body part. And we often talk about that beautiful curve that we did. So let's just do that full length again. We point the toes, slide the heel back in. We bend the knee in, our shoulders are back. We lean the chest forward this way a little bit. Just hold your hands in front of you there. And now we have this gorgeous figure, and that's what we're looking for. We don't want to always just shoot someone flat and front on. And as gorgeous as Sarah is in her figure, she's going to want to amplify her curves. That's what's beautiful about a woman, so you might as well do it. So this forms the foundation of almost every female pose that I do in the beginning. Now, yes, it has to be age appropriate. For example, if you photograph a 12-year-old girl, you wouldn't do this. You might just bring the knee over. A bit more quaint. If you photograph a corporate female CEO executive, you're not going to do this. It looks almost too sexy. So you might want soft and feminine but assertive. So you might just bring the knee over, cross the arms, and then lean forward, because I mean business. So remember, posing is not just for flattery, it's also for purpose. But celebrate what's beautiful about a woman, and that's curves. Posing is a fine art. Don't stress about it. Have some fun. At the very least, just let this be the foundation in which you photograph a woman, and then have fun and go play. When you're photographing a guy, we have a different approach. Now, but there are still things that we've got to pay attention to. Remember still, the easiest way to pose somebody is get them to mirror you. Now, you saw us do the previous demonstration with Sarah, of course. So if I was just to turn and face you, for example, just easy. Just get someone to mirror you, easy. But what do you do with a guy? Well, same thing. When you're actually photographing a guy or anyone front on, you're photographing them at their widest. Now, here with Jackson, we're showing no shape. If he was a letter, for example, he would be an I, a straight line and a dot. Okay, so we need to have a narrowing point. And what does a narrowing point mean? Well, when you see a mountain range, you see peaks and valleys. With a woman, you've got these beautiful curves, multiple curves, bust, waist, hips, legs, and so on and so forth. With a man, if you overdo it, it can feel really awkward. And a lot of guys, what they'll do, in fact, you're quite open. Your body language right now, you're doing this, which means you're sort of quite comfortable and relaxed. If you were very uncomfortable right now, you'd be doing this. And this is body language for, I'm covering up the most sensitive part of my body. And I feel awkward, because when you're photographing a guy and you're just starting to photograph with the real camera and they stand in front of you, well, now what? Well, guys want to look and feel cool. Most women want to look and feel beautiful. So how do you make a guy look and feel cool? Well, there are certain things that we need to do. So when a guy stands in front of you and he's doing this or this, you have to literally disarm him. Now, there's things that guys will obviously do. Now, often this kind of pose, okay, is very common, very, very common. Now, you'll never unsee this, and I apologize if you're offended by this, but for me, this looks like two male appendages pointing to the real thing. It means relaxed in body language, but you'll never unsee this ever again. This is even worse, because now you're framing the boys, so to speak, okay? So if you're wearing jeans, my personal perspective and opinion is you put your thumb in and do a relaxed fist, okay? Or you put the hand right in or out. If you're wearing something formal like pants, like a suit or anything like that, I would never do this. It's too casual for the formality of a suit. So my suggestion would just be relax the hands, either put them in the pocket or out. Now, before we go into depth and detail about the hands, let's talk about what I believe to be a great foundation pose for a guy. Because I think that most of us think that a good pose for anyone, let alone a guy, would be to stand up straight. Now, Jackson's a lot younger and more handsome than me, a lot slimmer than me, and he's got no problem areas in this area or this area, okay? Well, if you're photographing someone normal like me and not professionally good looking like Jackson here, you have to worry about those things. So if I stand up straight, I'm gonna get this and this. So how do I get rid of it? Well, anything you wanna emphasize, push towards the camera, and anything you wanna de-emphasize, push it away from the camera. So if all I ask you to do was put your hands in your pockets just for now, actually relax fists for the moment. Okay, and now what I want you to do is, I just want you to go concave. That's it, so hang your body, that's it, cool. So now all of a sudden, again for me, probably more obvious on me, I'm bringing my gut away from the camera and I'm actually emphasizing my chest and my shoulders. Now how do we do that even more and create shape with a guy that's not overly posed, that somewhat looks feminine? Well, let's do this. You're gonna be on a lazy Susan, okay? So I'm gonna turn you this way. Now, watch what I do now. So see how I'm standing like this? So shoulder length apart with your feet. I want all the weight on your back leg. That's it, perfect. So just shake the legs out, don't ever think about it. Okay, so look at me and just go like that. Okay, so now we have a narrowing point. And why is a narrowing point important? Because we're seeing peaks and valleys. This is a valley. And now if we lean him towards the camera, so just relax the hands just like this, and then just lean him towards the camera and turn a little bit. Now the shoulders look wider because we have something to compare it to. Otherwise, it can be an issue. So remember, okay, we're shooting him sort of side on, but bring his chest forward. And this might look awkward. It depends on what you're doing. How pronounced you get a guy to lean forward or back, it depends on their body type, the shape, your lens, where you are. I don't want to confuse you with that for the moment, but just remember, bring the gut away from the camera, and if you do that, the face goes down, which will force your face up, which will eliminate this particular area. It'll actually just be softer and sharper. Again, he's got a great jawline. I'd kill for a jawline like that, by the way, but it's all good. So that works really well. What's another way that we can create a narrowing point for a guy full length? Well, let me show you. So right now, you're like this. We said before that we turn the body, put the weight in the back leg. You notice the difference of what we did with the female form is we pointed the toe, slid the heel back in, and then bent the knee whilst keeping the toe pointed. With the guy, what we did was we just went shoulder length apart, and we pretty much did the same thing, but the toe is not pointed to the camera because that looks a bit feminine. So just relax, shake the legs out, don't overthink about it, and then weight on the back leg. Now we'll do the opposite. So watch this, let's turn around. So just copy what I do. So this leg, we're gonna put it forward as if we're walking. Okay, now this foot, we're gonna put behind. Okay, so now, like this. Now, do you see what we're doing here is, this is strong and assertive, great. And it's got a bit of movement to it. And this heel has to overlap the other one. And it gives me a narrowing point, creating a V with my body. If you think about bodybuilders and going to the gym, you look at those lats and the biceps, V. That's the letter that we're basically trying to show, whereas the woman, it's the S curve. With the man, it's a V, or depending on who you're photographing and how they identify. So this is a really important thing to do. All right, let's unravel. What do you do with a guy in terms of posing hands? Well, think of every James Bond movie that you've ever seen, and when he's in a fight and wearing a suit, and he's just won the fight, and now he's adjusting, get him to adjust something, like adjust the collar. Just pretend like you're doing up the button, just fixing your watch, fixing the cuff. And then you can do something asymmetrical. In other words, you can have one hand holding the collar, one hand in the pocket. Just have some fun, break it up a little bit. My suggestion to you is that while you're there scrolling on social media and you're interested in photography, most social media apps, you can actually create a folder of your favorites. Whether it's guy or girl, couple, groups, doesn't matter what it is. If you see a pose that you really like, what I want you to do is save it, put it in a folder, cool guy poses, cool feminine poses, cool group shots, and then you're constantly feeding your brain and putting images into those folders that you can constantly re-reference, and then you've got a great foundation for a pose. So if you're on location, don't know where to start, go back to that social media app and say, oh my God, I love that. That looks really, really cool. let me start off like that. That could be for full-length poses, 3/4, could be close-ups, it could be over the shoulder, it could be anything like that. But this forms the foundation of the male pose. So take your time, have fun, and remember, most guys don't like to be photographed as much as girls. So just disarm them a little bit. I might even, see you for the first time and give them a bit of a bro tap. Hey man, you look really cool, And maybe my directions will be shorter and sharper. So it really, really helps that process. Whether you're photographing a guy or a girl, I want to say guy or girl, that's my Australian way of saying men, women. I'm just broadly talking about female gender, male gender. If you have someone who identifies as male or female, doesn't matter how they're biologically born, doesn't matter at all. When I say masculine or feminine, we're talking about a masculine way in the traditional sense that perhaps many of us know. So again, we've got to respect how people identify and so on. Now, if we're talking about a biological male who identifies as male, my suggestion is that when you're photographing a guy who wants to look masculine, the more space you occupy in a shot, the more masculine it's considered. The tighter the pose, the more feminine it basically looks. So think of it like when you're photographing an athlete, then the more space you occupy, that's going to work well. Now, again, you could photograph a badass female rugby player who is just nice and strong, and it's just going to, now that's where the rules break a little bit. So just remember, you have to work out who you're photographing, how they identify, what the purpose is, and what's going to flatter them for what you're photographing. Now, for this particular purpose, this course is all about the basics. So don't overthink this. Just look at the person, say, what do I want to say? What will flatter them? And slowly, slowly, you can build on the foundation that we're setting for you, and you're there to have some fun. And as you look at the shots that you take, you'll realize these little nuances. You think, oh, something doesn't look right. Oh, that doesn't look right. If I were them, would I like that about myself? That's where things get really, really exciting, and that's where you can change it up a little bit. So break it down, have some fun. You'll make a lot of mistakes, but I promise you, you'll get better with this foundation. So let's say you're photographing a couple. In this case, we're emulating a heterosexual couple. So what we want to do is celebrate what we learnt about the female pose and the male and masculine pose, but now how do we do it together? I say that if you don't understand posing at all, I want you to remember this. We've all played with a puzzle before. When you do a jigsaw puzzle, only one piece fits into that particular puzzle, and it doesn't fit anywhere else. With posing, think of it like each of these puzzle pieces can fit in many ways. So if two faces and two bodies fit together like a puzzle, you know that's good posing. Also celebrating the fact that we want to flatter the people that we're photographing, and it needs to be purposeful. Now that's a little bit more nuanced. Perhaps you'll get more advanced as you practice, but for the moment, if you just want to make people look cool and have some fun and suggest sort of intimacy in a certain way, well, there's a couple of things that we can show you that sets the foundation for that. So have you ever played the game Pick Up Sticks? You probably have. Now, before you start playing, you've got to lay a stick down, put all the sticks and stack them up. I want you to think of posing that you're actually posing that first person. Who is the foundation? Who is the bottom stick? So that is the anchor of the shot. So for me, they're both full length. They both could be the anchor. But let's assume right now we're posing the bottom stick, and that is Sarah. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn your body around this way. Okay, so a bit of an angle. We're going to point your toe towards the camera, slide the heel back in, bend the knee a little bit. So remember, her weight is actually shifted back. Now, let's shift the weight forward again. So let's do this one. So do this for me. So let's shift the weight like that. So your hips. Okay, now, here's a really good tip. Her hips aren't mine to touch, okay? If they're a real couple, they're his or hers, I can't touch. So here's an easy way to do it. Grab her hand, put it on her own hip, and then shift the weight back. Just an easy way of doing that without being too personal. Okay, so now let's slide the heel back in a little bit and then bend the knee. Perfect. Okay, so stay there. Let's bring your arms around each other. Okay, so let's turn this way a little bit. Now, let's say, for example, that you were doing something, a cool shot of a couple looking in the camera. Nothing too fancy. Well, this hand can go into the pocket. That's it. And then this hand, we can just grab it. I can grab her hand on her own thigh. I grab her elbow and her wrist and slide her back in. Now, we're going to just lean her forward a little bit. Another little important tip. This hand covering up the thinnest part of the waist, it's a waste of a waist. Just bring that out of the way because I want to see a triangular piece of air here to celebrate her curves. So this is a shot, for example, and now turn your faces in like into each other, good. And now, if they lean towards the camera a little bit, you're going to engage the camera a little bit more. This might just be a very standard shot that you can start off with. Nice curves. We want to bend that knee a little bit. Why do we bend that knee? Because if his energy is just straight, it's static, there's nothing going on. We need to actually just break that energy a little bit, and it just shifts the energy to the girl he loves, so to speak. Now, if we're holding hands, no problem, just hold the hands, easy. And again, just lean forward, make sure that arm doesn't actually touch the body there a little bit, and then again, fit like a puzzle with your faces. Once you're in a position like this, you can go in so many different directions. So for example, you can look into each other, for example. So look into each other, okay? See how when you look into each other's eyes, it's sort of like it's a bit awkward because you're so close. So foreheads touching, look into each other's lips, for example. So go foreheads touching, and then turn your face outwards, good. Turn your face in, mate. Good, all right, perfect. So if they're looking down into each other's lips, that's sort of nice, it's sort of intimate, it's soft. Now from this position, he can kiss her on the cheek on the right-hand side, so emulate that little kiss. You can kiss on the temple, you can have a bit of a giggle, you can do all these different things. So just remember that once you've got the foundation right, you can change another body part that just changes the flow of everything. And remember, posing doesn't have to be stuffy and organic, and this doesn't have to be the go-to pose you do every single time. You can actually get your couple and say, hey guys, stand in that beautiful light and give each other a cute little hug. Now let me show you what happens when that happens. All right, so I want you to stand in front and give her just a hug from behind. Don't think like a model, just think like a normal person. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now you have to work out, is this going to be something that you're going to renovate or rebuild from scratch? So I'm not saying that you have to pose every single finger. Let things be organic, but let's just see if that's going to be flattering for the person or the couple that you're actually photographing. So as an example, if you're looking at them this way, so if you basically see her legs are parted, this almost looks like she's pregnant. Also, his face is coming out of her head, and her hair is parted this way. So logically, he would hug from this side. Okay, there's one thing. Let's keep on renovating this. So what we're going to do now is see how all her weight is on this leg. Keep that way. I want you to lazy Susan that way. Same pose. So let's fix this as an example that sets the foundation of how we can actually manipulate posing with what we're doing. So what we want is, we don't want that. We're going to get you to point your toe, slide your heel back in and bend the knee and shift your weight back. You're going to bend this knee. You're going to bring your hands down here and then your hands on this, and you're going to turn your face into hers. Now these hands, it really depends on whether you want to see them. They might look a little bit alien-like, just coming out of nowhere. So you either just bring them closer, or you just get rid of them completely. Or you can just hold the hair and then hide that hand completely. And then we can just lean towards the camera and then turn your faces in. So Jackson, just lean back a bit more. That's it, come back and then turn your faces in that way. And then just on the same plane. Perfect. And then bend that knee slightly. Good. So all the weight's on this leg and that one's slightly bent. So you see how that subtle little change changed the whole destiny of that particular pose. So my suggestion when you're photographing a couple is either place them like a puzzle. Remember, you don't understand posing? Fit two faces, fit two body parts, fit two shoulders, fit anything like a puzzle, it's going to look good. And if you want to, get them to do what they do on their own, but just adjust and have some fun. But take your time, just remember, what are you trying to say? Is it intimacy? Is it fun? Is it playful? Get them in a rough position. And what you'll find when you start posing is that, let's say, for example, if we called this the perfect pose, everything was flattering, everything was nice, but then I just said, hey guys, giggle into each other, have some fun, all that kind of thing. Like, they can organically get into it, but at least you had a starting off point. I find that the break of perfection, I call that deconstructing posing, is that break of perfection makes the shot look and feel and appear real. So remember, we pose for flattery and we pose for purpose. For the exercise of this particular course, don't overthink it. Put people together, have some fun with it, let go, and then as you start looking at your photographs, you'll realize things that you could have done better. So take your time, have some fun, and remember, you're photographing two humans, not two mannequins.